Blog Talk Radio.
So this is the Viberarian First Contact. My name is Miss J, and things are clipping right along. I do appreciate you joining me. I'm going to come back on the line with caller 8004, and I'd love to know what you're thinking at this point.
Hey, I'm just listening to what everybody's saying. I guess there was two ladies speaking about the negativity and stuff, and I was just kind of like thinking about for me, I've really cut out a lot of social media. Like now I only have like one Instagram, and I just like to post all my happy moments and like kind of try to share with people who I know. But like I think that like so that I could cut out all the negativity, like I kind of started over with a new Instagram, and I just really consciously started trying to like attract like-minded people so that I wouldn't have to worry about seeing so much negativity, because I know that like whenever you see it just scrolling down social media, like it affects you subconsciously. Like even if you mentally are like, okay, I'm not going to let these kind of things like bother me, but it really can get to you subconsciously, especially if you're like an empathetic type person anyways.
Absolutely.
Naturally. So anyways, but that's all I was thinking about whenever you were mentioning social media and the negativity and stuff. Like I kind of blocked myself from it, and it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes I have to wait till I get my news from other people. Like, did you hear about that thing that happened? And I mean, only thing I can do is just send good love and light out to situations. Like I know that I can't control everything, but all I can do is just try to keep positive on my own, and so that I can lift the vibration of everybody else around me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're not the first person who I know who has either done a Facebook diet or a Facebook detox, if you will, where they've stepped away from Facebook, or they changed like profiles, like you said, where they got just too either spammy or, like you said, too negative, or it took a turn at some point in the history of your account that you weren't happy with. And so it was better just scrap it and start all over. You're by no
I
means
started all over.
the first person.
And I consciously, try to just attract people. Like, I started posting lots of things about my art, or I'd post my crystals, or I'd post my travel pictures. And it literally started attracting people who were into those type of things. So now when I'm scrolling down my feed, I see people putting their affirmations up. I see them talking about the new moon rituals and things that they're doing. And it's so much more pleasant. And it really actually made it's been probably like a year now, and it's made such a big difference in my life, just because I don't have those like subconscious negative things happening as soon as I scroll through my feed and some subliminal messages, so, and if they are, they're like really rare, because now you have the explore page and everything on Instagram, but it's just it really makes a big difference. And so I understand everything you're saying, where you're coming from.
Yeah, so you dusted your shoulders off on your little Instagram account. You had to get rid of some of the clutter. I definitely think that that's good, because a lot of times we discount stuff because we think it's small. But like you said, if you're scrolling past it, the magnificent power of our brain is that if our eyes ingest it or one of our senses perceives it, part of our brains got it. Now, whether we realize in our frontal consciousness that our brains got it, no, we don't until we need to know, But your brain sees all those little headlines, and your eyes see all that stuff and ingest it at some level, even when you're not trying to click the link. So I definitely can see why it's good to build kind of like a little hedge. Not only do you build a hedge by saying, I'm not bringing this into my environment, but then you redirect the energy back outward by pushing positivity. That's a positive way that energy is supposed to go. And like you said, it was subtle. Next thing you know, people are joining you, and they're using your hashtag. And so your vibe attracts your tribe. That's what they say. And you create a tribe around you. So I think
for sure. and I don't have a lot of friends in person that are that are like that. But I created so many internet friends, and about whenever I was traveling, I was just meeting so many amazing people, and I think that's just one of the particular things that I think that kind of helped me out with my energy focus.
Absolutely. And I know you said you do crystals, so I'm sure you have some wonderful crystal knowledge that helps you with being in great energetic space, too.
For sure.
People don't realize how easy it is to have your energy shifted. There's people that can shift it, but there are also structures and objects and things. So, our offices with our computers and the fluorescent lights and the cell phone frequencies and all that kind of stuff, it clutters our senses. So to be able to go out in nature without your phone and without as much interference as possible is super, super important. Because most of the time we surround ourselves with so much cluttery energy, we don't realize what it feels like for it to be absent. So, like a couple weeks ago, I went down to a little tiny town on the border of Mexico, on the border of Belize, with a friend of mine who was getting ready to stay down there for a few months. Well, it's so small, there's no cell phone service, and the Wi-Fi is it's there. But let's just say I was off the grid for 2 days. And I had to accept my technology disconnect, and I actually kind of did it with relish because I wanted to feel like it. It felt like to be in a place that didn't have a lot of people. It didn't have electrical lines going everywhere. It didn't have the light interference, so the stars were insanely bright at night, and to feel what as close to natural energy looks like in today's modern society. For me, I'm not one to go in the outback somewhere just so I can be completely devoid of man's contact. That was pretty much as destitute or desolate as I would care to be was where I was. So I still had some lights in the house and things of that, and electricity and things like that. I was not completely interference free. But it did reset my energy when I came back, and a lot of us take for granted because our day is set up so that we start from the time we wake up until the time we go to sleep, our energy is just, and then we end. And we don't stop to think about what we're doing during the day because a lot of us, the work-focused reality that we live in has just get up in the morning, we got to get to work, we got to beat traffic, we got to get to our desk on time. When we're at work, we got to get our work done until the end of the day, then we got to beat traffic to get home, to pick up our kids, to fix our dinner, and then we go to sleep. Where in the middle of that were we really in control of our energy? I mean, we might have been in control of it because we were efficient getting ourselves to work and doing all those things. But were we just controlling an automated boat? Did we really take time in between that to pull our energy out of the routine, to not put ourselves on autopilot, and to be mindful? Mindful is the phrase of the year, mindfulness. But it is really important because if you're not mindful, then those days roll by from Monday to Friday, and you wonder why you're tired at the end of the week, and it's because your energy just carried you from Monday morning all the way until the end in one big wave. And I would say that if we learn to then be mindful, that gives us personal control over our energy. We don't have to be subject to the energies around us. I don't know if that's making sense. point, but it's one of the ways that I have tried to declutter where I can in order to clear space for me to be mindful. So if that means I don't look at Facebook for 15 minutes at the beginning of the day, or I don't look at Facebook at 15 minutes at the end of my day, then I've cleared out that cluttery energy and given myself space so that I didn't fill it up with routine activities from time to wake, from time to sleep. I interjected spaces, and those little spaces give me an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not going to be swept away by the momentum of this day. I'm not going to just be a mindless, I'm not going to just be the boat. I'm going to actually take the steering wheel of the boat. I have caller 8900 that gave me a press 1 again. Are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. This is
okay,
Gwen.
yes.
And I just needed to input, what you're currently talking about, removing yourself from a lot of negative energy, and I can relate to what you said about being in a remote area where it just wasn't available, and it forced you to really understand what it meant. And as I said, I'm a recent retiree, and I have been living a life at warp speed, just with the responsibilities that I had, and it seemed like my day never ended. It was just one, a daylight and a dawn, and then I was right back into doing the same thing, so that I was never really resting. And what I'm finding now is that I've, been renewed. I'm just finding a different purpose for my life now and say, how did I do it for all those years? That was total insanity. Not going on vacations and answering emails or texting people or doing conference calls, and I'm supposed to be on vacation. So I think that I've removed myself from that energy, and now I'm trying to find a new purpose for my life.
And I'm really happy for you, and I just mean that in a sincere way, because I know of too many stories of people who, within a few months of them getting to retirement, they wind up passing away or contracting like a cancer or some kind of illness just when, they've done the work-focused life and they've contributed the best of their brain, probably doing something that they really, really love for 25, 30, 35 years. And now at a point when it's like, okay, now the next part, the fun part comes when I get to enjoy the fruit. Unfortunately, people do not necessarily make it to where you are to even be in a position to learn how to just do you, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And
I agree. I agree.
I am so encouraging of anybody that I know. If there's any avenue that takes them to a place where they have more balance in their life, in their working years, I'm wholly in supportive of that, because I think that there, but for the grace of God, go any of us that our jobs are 9 to 5 kind of reality or sedentary jobs, or the 8-hour plus a day work week with no vacations or very little vacations. It takes its toll on all of our quality of life, even while we're living it, and then so much to the point that our bodies break down then after we finish our working years. And I think that if we can seize the reins on that, whatever that looks like, I think each of us have something in us that we can do to not have that be our reality, One of the reasons, I'm 44 years old, and for the last 8 years, since last year, I was a corporate law librarian in Atlanta and an entrepreneur, and I decided in November, after a year of careful consideration, to leave my good job and to just give myself like a year off to see what I could do. A good friend of mine named Sheena, my line sister actually in a sorority, she inspired me because a couple of years ago she took a sabbatical from being a social worker, and she blogged about her sabbatical and shared it with her Facebook friends and the world through her blog. And it was talking about self-care. And I really always kind of remembered that idea, and I thought it was great that she was able to do that for herself and to explore what it meant to not be work-focused in the early years of her life. And so I modeled my time after that, and departed from the corporate reality into something wholly different. And here I sit now on the online radio and broadcasting from Mexico with friends all over the world. And I'm just dwelling in that kind of state of gratitude that I was able to take control of my energy and move it to a place that made it more positive for me to be in my reality. So whatever that looks like for people, to be in a positive reality where they're enjoying and thriving, not just surviving, 100% here to help spread that knowledge to people. So all of the callers are live on the air at this time with me who are listening. I just thank you for participating. If you have anything you'd like to contribute, this is a group forum. So whoever's on, we're just having a conversation at this point.
Well, I think this is a very great place to start. And as you well know, I support this conversation and all the conversations that are to come, because if we're going to raise the vibration, we have to start somewhere.
Absolutely, Kalina. And I think self is where we all start at the same starting point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think things work out better when we start in self. We say, as above, so below, the inner reflects the outer.
Oh, yeah, I believe in introspection.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I said, I believe in introspection.
Absolutely. And that's what that mindful time, when you carve out those times, you have to have time to look at self, that for introspection. You can just blow through the day from start to finish, as I said. But I have this little thing that I love to share called rub-a-dub tough love. And basically, when you are in the bath or the shower or the tub, rather than thinking about all the things that you have to do for the day, if you're a morning shower person, or in your evening bath thinking about all the things that you did for the day or what you got to do the next day, like taking that time and turning it off and just being in the moment. And it's so simple as just feeling the water on your skin, feeling the soap or the loofah as a sensation as you cleanse the world off yourself, and just focusing on the feeling of that and not thinking about anything. Don't multitask. Just love on yourself. If anything, just feel love, feel care, feel nurturing for this vessel that you're taking care of in this moment. Don't discount that 10 minutes if you can't take any other 10 minutes at the shower time or 15 minutes of your half-hour bath time, most of us might, especially if you have children, we're too busy. Everybody always says, oh, I would do so-and-so if I had time. Well, that's an easy way that you could take the time to just put an insertion of a mindful moment. And you'll be surprised how that kind of inhale, exhale, being present, how it will shift your whole commute after that, how it will shift your sleep when you go to rest after that, just because you gave it that pause. I've got some feedback on the line due to technical. I went ahead and had to put everyone back on mute, so if you do want to get back on, just press the 1 key again. So, again, this is the Viberarian show, and my name is Miss J, and I am really excited that you're here with me tonight talking about our first subject, which is energy. And Kalina, did you want to come back on? I see your button push.
Oh, I didn't know I pushed it.
Okay, I'll put you back on mute. I thank everybody for your patience this evening. It's definitely an interesting evening. I'm just so excited to actually see calls on the screen looking at me. And I want to also say hello to Paula, who is in the chat room on our Blog Talk Radio site for the show, The Viberarian. She definitely put her support into the chat interface. On our show, we have opportunities for people to ask questions. We're going to cover any number of topics that are suggested by listeners. Also, if you want to write in a question, you can email joelle@theviberarian.com. And I will do my best to prepare materials, and we will definitely have a conversation about it going forward. One of the things I love about being a librarian, or loved about it and love about information, is that when a person asks you something, you also get to learn what it is you provide them while you go to find the answer for them. So it's kind of like a win-win situation all around if you're researching things that are interesting. I mean, it can be a not so much of a win situation if you're having to go through things that are unpleasant or negative, which sometimes I have to do, which is why I wanted to shift out of that and to be somewhere more positive where I could be in control of the information. So I'd rather answer your questions than negative ones. So in the future, please feel free to submit anything that you might have in writing. So I would like to know from Miss Gwen, I'm going to bring you back on the line. Are you with me, Gwen?
Yes, I'm here.
I would like to know, are you doing any, learning? What have you learned in your time of discovering now what your energy is like post-work?
Well, it's been about 7 months, and I think the first 6 months I've spent decompressing because I was just so wound tight that it didn't seem real at first. But I had always clear intentions on doing some writing. So I've been spending the last maybe several weeks beginning to research and interview people in the area that I want to write on. So I am learning how to listen to other people, versus having other people listen to me, as was my previous mode, while I was working. So I'm learning a lot, and I'm listening much more.
That is good. A lot of us don't know, the art of listening is more nuanced than what we mostly think of it. Like I said, a lot of times we pay half attention to get the gist of something because, again, we're push. Multitask. Do this, half listen to that, half look at this, But to actually listen and to be listened to, I think one of the most valuable things that I have about the relationships of quality that I have in my life is that I feel that I am listened to, and that makes me feel valuable. To know that I was heard and that my truth, that I got to either be observed by someone or tell it to someone.
And it's kind of refreshing to be in a space where you feel you don't have to be the expert and lead others, that you can also listen to other people who may have expertise that you don't have.
Mm-hmm. And is the writing something that is something you've always done or something that you always wanted to do, or did you used to do it differently and now you're doing it for yourself? Or
I wrote both. I've always had to write, technical information for my jobs, both in corporate America and in the world of nonprofit. So now I get to turn those tables and write something of interest, of great interest, I should say, to me. So, it's just going from one type of writing to another.
Mm-hmm. They say that there's one thing that I don't care for as much, but it says, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I think that is true. But I also more fundamentally believe that if you are doing something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, and then that you are good at, then the universe will seek to support that. And if that means financial support, then financial support will come through you through your gifts. If that, means of some other type of support, then you will be provided for. So, at the fundamental, most basic level, it's making you happy when you sit down and write in your book. It may be challenging, it may frustrate you, you might like to tip your pen off sometime, but at a fundamental level, you really are enjoying the art, sounds like creating this thing through the process of writing. So
and you're so right.
It's not work
you're
for you.
So right. Yeah, you're so right. It is. But it is kind of work because I'm switching from a technical writing style to a creative writing style. And I'm having to relearn how to get people's attention and make it interesting, the message that I'm trying to convey. So it's challenging, but it's also exciting.
Right. And I think that you will continue to then get more opportunities to do it. Time opportunities, subject opportunities. Again, when we're in that energy of, if it's playing piano, then we'll be given more opportunities to play piano. And we'll be given opportunities to be supported through that playing piano so we can continue to emit our positiveness, If something at the very minimal makes you happy, then the universe supports that. That's my belief,
So true.
So true. That spark then enlarges and can ignite a fire and flames that then can support you, on an ongoing basis. Now, were you a journal? Have you ever journaled, or you just have you? I'm not a journalist.
I'm not a sincere journalist. I would write notes the things that I knew that I wanted to. I've always known that I wanted to write a book. So I would write notes in my journal, things that I wanted to make sure that I retained. Little sayings, little quotes from different people, just jotting down on a sporadic basis. But now I'm getting a little more consistent. For the last couple of weeks, I've been writing, like excerpts that I thought would be good to include. So it's getting better. I wished I were a person that did journaling. Then I wouldn't feel so challenged right now. But I know that, and I believe what you said about the universe supporting you. I've always believed that. So I think by me just taking these steps forward, that everything that I need will be provided for me.
Yes. I am not disciplined enough in anything with regularity to be a journaler. I'm one of those kind of loosey personalities. So I've intended to journal a lot. I do tend to journal like dreams just because it helps for interpretation. But I have a couple of friends who they have their journals from 20 years ago. They every day they journal. It's part of how they express themselves to themselves and how they do their work and stuff. And I admire that. It's kind of fascinating to me to know that I could go to the book of 1989 and see that person's stream of thought consciousness. But I just have never had the wherewithal and the diligence to be disciplined in that way of writing.
Right.
I was wondering if you were.
No, I'm sort of like you, I have to say. Where I was disciplined is every day I had a to-do list for my job because, I was multitasking at such a high rate that I needed to write down things I needed to follow up on or, things that were said or things that I needed to retain in order to move the project forward or whatever the case was. So I was more consistent at that type of writing and documenting than I was at journaling my feelings and things that were important to me in my private life. And I guess it was because I didn't really have a private life, so to speak. So now that that's changing, I can see I'm getting a little better, but no, I don't have that kind of discipline either, but I'm working on it.
Well, and it's like the discipline that the routine of a work type thing can be a good and a bad thing. Because I could produce writing at work, but now when I'm like free and I've got nothing but time and opportunity to write different things, especially related to like my business materials and things of that nature, it's really hard for me to kickstart that creative spark. But those routine habits, I could go back and write a brief research memo again tomorrow in under a few minutes because it became part of my predominant routine to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of that tricky thing of the life that we live or the lives that we live in order to maintain our world. It kind of puts us in a place where we do a lot of things out of muscle memory or habit or routine without having to think about them. I'm sure when you were doing your technical writing, you knew what you needed to do and you could crank it out in the format it needed to go in once you've been trained to the system, right?
Right.
So a lot of us become trained to the system and we don't stop and have those mindful moments to say, wait a second, today is not a system today. Today is just a day. And it's going to have variation. I'm going to resist the routine. I'm going to be anti-routine. I'm going to experience it, even though it looks basically the same as yesterday. I'm going to experience it today, first with a sense of gratitude, and then secondly as a wholly new experience. It kind of keeps us out of that routine rut. And I think routine rut energy is...
Go ahead.
Oh, I said I think routine rut energy is kind of like the little dust. It can be damaging when it builds up over time, but most of us have to deal with a certain level of it just to exist, because we're in a routine, encouraging kind of reality, you know. But
well,
it's
the
easy
energy
to be kind
flow.
of...
The energy flow that we're in is based on our environment. And, you know,
Absolutely.
because my work environment energy was so routine, like you said, so routine that I was able to get into that flow without much difficulty. But now that my environment has changed, my energy flow has to catch up with the environment or adapt to the environment that I'm in. So I'm just waiting for that same level of energy to take hold in a new environment.
Right. Well, one of the things of this time and age that we're in is that more people than ever before have an opportunity to work in alternative environments, meaning they're working from home. Teleworking has become so big that it's just common these days. Even kids now, their school days or their school environments are looking different from that 8 to 4, 8 to 5 structure. It's being scientifically recognized that we may not function our best as people within those hours. And I think they're actually considered to say those are probably the least productive times for people to be at work or for kids to be at school are the times that we demand them to be. You know, so it's kind of like it doesn't care. Go ahead.
I was going to say exactly. I know that, you know, in the corporate structure, when I was working in corporate and then, you know, most of my years at nonprofit, was that, you know, you couldn't be productive unless your employer was looking at you, making sure that you were spending your time wisely or spending your time as you should to produce a product or for them. But the millennium children are totally against that now. My granddaughter, it's amazing. She travels all over the world. And when she graduated from college, she said, I'm not looking for a 9-to-5 job. I'm looking for a job that will allow me to express my ability to use my skills and talents that I have learned, but I don't want to be confined in 4 walls to get my work done. And that seems to be the mode of operation for the millennium. They work wherever, and if they can't find an environment that conforms to that energy that they have, that work energy that they have, they move on to another position where, you know, we thought it was the worst thing for you to just walk off the job and say, I don't want to work here anymore. So the attitude absolutely has changed. And, you know, allowing people to telecommute, we called it telecommute, to allow people to work from home is just a given now. You know, even people who have 9-to-5 jobs are allowed 1 or 2 days a week where they can work from home and attend to other personal matters that they may have as long as they're meeting their requirements.
Right. That's one of those things about technology and the advances of the time and the age that we're in is that we don't have to be, I guess we're not changed to the manufacturing machines in the plant anymore because of technology. And the millennials, they get a bad rap. You know, I'm 44, so I'm kind of an in-betweener, a Gen X or whatever. And they get a bad rap because the memes that are out there and all the older generations always say the younger generations are going to hell in a handbasket. It's just what happens, you know. But they get this bad reputation as being, they're flighty. They don't have a good work ethic. They're materialistic, and they're entitled, whiny little brats who got ribbons for everything they ever did. You know, that kind of grouchy old mentality about them. But I personally think that, you know, their idea about stuff not being motivated to work in jobs just for the job's sake, like their motivation actually being personal contentment, not money, I think that's actually a good thing. If they want to have their food be organic and gluten-free, then who says they're being picky? You know, I think that the negative has gotten a bad rap, but that there certainly are positives about their experience. So that we can take forward as a lesson. I'll tell you, down here in Mexico, there is this whole kind of culture of nomadic young people that are in their 20s. And when you hear their story, they're traveling from here down through Central America to Guatemala and down. They're just going to move from country to country over the next period of, say, 12 weeks. Staying here, staying there for 3 months, staying in this place for 6 weeks, and they're able to do it because they're digital nomads. Their jobs have them independent of a location, and so they're co-housing. They're not looking to buy a McMansion and build. They're looking to go experience places. And in exchange for being able to experience these places, they may be foregoing a certain level of material stability and or wealth. But to them, they just really don't care. You know, I've seen kids with a ukulele playing for pesos, and they're like super happy hippie kids. And they're going to be in 5 countries by the time 2 months is out and have experienced and played their ukulele for plenty of people. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I think
so
I have
another
someone
part
who.
Go ahead.
I think I have someone who also is coming on the line. I'm putting all lines live on. We're in about the last 30 minutes of the show, so all the lines are open if anyone wants to join in.
I just kind of wanted to add into everything that you guys are saying. I think that our society right now, since it's changed so much, and since people like us are starting to have those conversations where it's lifting the vibration so they can open people's minds up a little bit more, I think that naturally, since the vibration is changing, then our society has to change, and that's one of the reasons why people are going back to being natural and just kind of flowing with the universal laws that are natural. I want to plant my food now, and I want to eat what's growing from the earth, and I don't want any chemicals in it, or I don't want to kill animals or harm them anymore and have them for food, because I think that, you know, they should be able to live free like we do, or we should. Or I don't want to go to school anymore or go to a certain school anymore because I think that I should be homeschooled because the curriculum that they're teaching me is not what I know to be true. Or, and especially since it's an information age, you know, people are doing a lot of research. Some people, the people who want to know things, they're able to find it. And with a lot of the, you know, starseeds or the younger generation, some of these people are being born with certain knowledge already, because their sole purpose is to come here and lift the vibration of the earth. And so I do understand. I am one of the millennials. But my mom, she's one of the, what do you call it, Generation X? I don't know. She's in her 50s. I don't know. But she's real open-minded. And I think that these type of people really do open a door for other people like myself to be super open-minded. She was open-minded to me doing homeschool because, you know, maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was one of the people who were like, I don't really know if I want to go to school because the curriculum's all right. Back then whenever I was young, I was already like, I don't want to do the Pledge of Allegiance because they're violating us African Americans. And this is before, now this is becoming popular, but it's just those conversations just need to happen. And as the vibration raises and people start to wake up and realize no, things need to change and we need to match the universal laws so everything can flow good for everybody, not just some of us.
Well,
I think that.
And I was going to say, I think that the world is for the younger people. You know, I mean, it's already the baby's world. Like the babies that are being born now, it's this world that we're living in. It's not my world anymore. It's theirs. You know, because I will be long gone, and they will retain the greater possession of it at this point. You know, I've got another 40, 50 years if I'm lucky. They got 90, so it's their show. So they're the new millennial energy. To me, I'm excited about it because it's already coming in, like you said, with the idea that I'm just graduating college and I'm going to go work where I'm happy. Not gonna.
Oh yeah. And what I realized too, I got a chance. I visited 6 countries, and I've been back for 3-4 months now. And all of this time I've been growing up in the States, I always thought that like, oh, America is like, it's not so friendly toward African Americans, and it's just terrible with us. And I thought the whole world was like that. And this is the thing that we just see on TV. You just kind of think that the whole world discriminates against black people in some type of way. And then whenever I went away, I realized that there were other Europeans that are like, they're not going to deal with it. They're like, oh, I can't believe people get treated like that in the States. Like, that's ridiculous. Everybody should be treated like human beings. Like, you know, all of us should be able to live together and be happy. And so, like, I really learned, it really opened up my eyes and, like, made me realize, like, everybody's not like that. So with these new babies being born and stuff like that, I feel like the world is eventually going to change. And so that gave me a lot of hope.
Oh, absolutely.
But also,
that's one thing we can be guaranteed. The change is coming. It does, you know, what it looks like we don't know yet. But, I mean, change is inevitable.
And so it gives me that motivation to stay positive while I'm here. You know, and also, I mean, and then I like the fact that you mentioned the nomads, the people who are traveling, because it's kind of cool because I met so many people like that who are nomadic and they were traveling and they were just wanting to be happy. Like their main thing was being happy, and they literally live off of the universe and knowing that the universe is going to provide for them. And that's really, really cool to see because they're like, oh, I'm just going to go here. I'm going to meet people. And then, like, and I even did that before, and I just watched my life unfold. And I feel like here in the States, I think there's some kind of stigma against that happening here. Like, the whole system here is all set up so that, like, whenever you do things like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult for you. Whereas, and I feel like in other countries, people are just way more open to opening their door, and then you don't have to worry about getting hurt or something. I had a lot of friends that were like couch surfing, and they were like, oh, okay, I'm just going to travel here, and I don't know what I'm going to do for work, but I'll be all right. And they are correct because the universe provided them with food. They'll meet somebody, and they'll be like, oh, let's share snacks together. Like it's so
right.
But the universe really does.
It's a much more connected. It's a much more connected and trusting energy that they have. You know, at the outset, they don't see us as different. They see it as, well, hey, this person had meat and bread. That's all I need. You know, that's my brother and my sister. Let's break bread on the road together. So that's very hopeful for me. One thing I will say
I think if they can do it, anybody can.
Well, one thing that is like another key way to shift your energy is if you step out of wherever you are. So that can be as simple as if you're in a room and you step out of the room and you've left the energy automatically. So for some people, it could be stepping out of your town that you've been living in. Maybe you haven't been anywhere. Maybe you never left the island of Manhattan. I'm talking to you New Yorkers. Okay, maybe you never left the island of Manhattan. So that's your whole reality. So you're going to have a certain energy. If you step outside of whatever the quote-unquote room has been for you, I promise you, your energy will be changed. So if America has been the room that you've been living in and you've never stepped out of it, if it's within your ability to do so, step out of it, even just for a little bit. because it will definitely shift your energy. And when you return back to wherever you were, when you return back to the States, when you return back to your hometown, when you return back to your office, you will be different in your energy, and therefore that environment will also be subtly shifted too. And the globalism, one of the things that technology has brought us is the ability to see in very real ways the world outside of our door. Even if we've never traveled to another country, we can see images from it. We can connect with people from it. We can hear news from their side of the world. 50, 60 years ago, that was not necessarily the case, you know. So it's a much smaller world than, it truly is a small world, and now we can see the interconnectedness of all of us in very, very real ways. So it's very possible for us to see Syrian refugees, you know, and feel energy in relationship to their crisis and to feel empathy and then to do something that helps to shift the energy of the tragedy that's unfolding over there. Because, A, we even know that there was a Syrian crisis going on thanks to social media and thanks to news and technology and current stuff. We know that there are, like, Navajos protesting out in the West over access over their land because of technology, whereas 20 years ago we would not have known about that kind of situation unfolding until after the effect had already happened. So there's an opportunity for us to exchange energy at much greater distances than ever before, and it's only expanding. I mean, we've got people wearing Fitbits on their arm that are tracking the energy they're giving off in a very specific biometric way. It's telling them all day what their sweat tasted like, how many calories they ate, how many times they went to the bathroom, how many steps they took. I mean, I exaggerate, but that's still a technology device that's connected to a person that is doing something scientific with energy. So if your Fitbit can glean all that from being attached to your wrist, what do you think the people who are around you experiencing your energy, what do you think that they're experiencing from you? You know, and I would challenge each of us to kind of maybe look at ourselves like little devices like that, you know, and to be even more specific and amplify our positivity and our energy so that we can be even stronger, so that we're even more aware that we're having an effect out in the world. So in the last half hour of the show, and I think that the conversation this evening has been very, very interesting. I really appreciate everyone who has joined me on air and listening this evening. I do want to share with you a few things about the shows going forward. And so I'm taking the caller community back off air into mute status. But going forward, I plan to have several regular segments on the show. And, of course, I want to have the golden moment where we get to talk about successes and positivities on a one-to-one basis, sharing what's good in your hood and what's positive into your life. I also would love to hear from people if you have a topic that you would like to host as a discussion. I'm certainly open for co-hosts. And we also have opportunities on the Viberary Radio Network for you to possibly host your own show if you think that you have something that you would like to talk about on a regular basis. Definitely holler me. Let me know, because there is opportunity for all of us to expand our reach through this forum. And I would love for you to be on board. Kalina Brown's show, A Conversation with Kalina, is going to be starting in a few weeks. I hope that you'll join us on Sunday evenings for her conversations. Kalina, I've got you back on the air at this time, and you and I have talked a little bit about some of the topics that you'll be covering. If you could describe for our listening audience the goal of your show and what they can expect. I may have lost Kalina. Kalina Brown is a social worker, and her business, Realizing What Matters, is here in the Atlanta area. And Kalina is a wonderful facilitator and a licensed practical social worker. I may be incorrect, and Kalina, if you come on, you can certainly correct me. But one of the events that inspired me to think about her for a radio show was a series of lectures that she hosted at Hair Salon, Speak Natural Hair Design in Atlanta, Georgia, or East Point, Georgia. They have a series over there called Sundays at Speak. And
can you hear me now?
Kalina, there you are. I had the wrong line clicked. I was explaining
You're doing
last
a wonderful
year
job.
at our Sundays at Speak, we had a session in February that was about loving yourself, and it was during the month of Valentine's Day, and we had like a 3-week discussion series on self-love and what that looks like. And then just a few weeks ago, Kalina facilitated a workshop at the salon on the topic shame, blame, guilt, and judgment, and how to move away from those things and stand in your truth. And I think it was so well attended, I hate that I couldn't be there, but I know there were 30 or 40 people in attendance, and there was much clamoring for more. And so I, of course, thought about, Kalina, your voice and the things and the tools that you talk about and teach about. And I think that this radio show will be an awesome opportunity for you to have a conversation with us about that.
Oh, definite. As I was saying before we realized I was still muted, was that my desire is to be a positive voice in demystifying mental illness. The shame, blame, guilt, and judgment topic is one that is near and dear to my heart. I believe from my clinical understanding and all of my personal information that I've acquired over these years that is part and parcel of what keeps us stuck. One of the four, or a combination of the four, is the root of most of what stagnates us in our lives. Much more so even than some of the things you were talking about tonight is, why? Why is this a fact in someone's life? And so I like my space and time to be utilized to help us find the deeper roots. And once you find the roots, you can dig those roots up, and then you can begin to do the replanting.
Mm-hmm. Do a little of that digging in the dirt work so that you can thrive. Huh?
Yes.
Well, I know that I think that we did settle on, an hour or two for your show, and Sunday evening?
Yes, Sunday at 6, and we're going to start out with the hour and see where it goes from there. If need be, we can increase it as we go along. I would love for that to be the case, because I believe that as the conversation grows and people become aware that with all of the programming that you have scheduled, people would understand its value, and then they would be present.
Well, I am very excited about being in the production booth for you during your show, and hopefully we'll have everything smooth and ready to roll for you. I will tell you that on our YouTube channel for the Viberary, all of the episodes that we broadcast here on the radio network will be available on the channel within a few days after broadcast. And you will find there other material by people who I encounter in YouTube. It's kind of going to be like a little library or Viberary collection of material that I think is uplifting and informative and educational. So, of course, with our shows here, and then some of the things like Kalina's previous lectures and other teachers and facilitators, those materials will be going up as we gain permission from the authors to publish those. And so you can search on YouTube for the Viberary. That's Viberary. And it's all about vibes, good vibes and good vibration. So we are excited about the YouTube channel to come along with us. And, of course, there is a website in the works. And as I said before, this is all a learning thing. I am growing and acquiring new skills, and I'm excited about what the future holds. I think that one of the shows that you'll be very interested to hear about, also debuting a few weeks after Kalina's rolls out, we are going to be featuring a Psychic Insights program. Now, this is going to be so exciting. We have lined up for you a weekly show where we are going to feature a psychic or intuitive reader. And these are people who are like really bringing very unique gifts to the world. And I want to explore this with you, and we are going to speak with them about their story of how they've come into doing what it is that they're doing. And then we are going to be taking callers and allowing the reader to interact with the caller and to do mini readings over the air. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, if you've never encountered psychic phenomena, or if you've always been curious about it, or if you're a person who is actually familiar with or is a psychic or intuitive reader yourself, please definitely email me or let me know, and we will keep you posted as to when the Psychic Insight show is going to start. And a lot of my inspiration for that show is because of my own firsthand experiences. If you've ever seen the show Long Island Medium with Teresa Caputo, where she comes up around people and starts to communicate with them about their loved ones, I've had experiences like that myself that were quite eye-opening, and it really helped change and send my life on a new trajectory. So I'm really excited to bring forth some programming because I know some really awesome people that are living the most amazing stories, and I think we'll get to encounter some of that supernatural during the Psychic Insight show. We're in our last 15 minutes of the broadcast at this point, and I think that it's been a very interesting conversation so far. Everyone who's on the phone is currently live, so if you have anything you'd like to say before we wind up, or any thoughts that you'll take away from this afternoon, evening show, I'd love to hear them. Okay. Everybody's still awake? But
yes, I'm awake.
Okay. And I really thank you all for hanging with me for the full time this evening.
You're welcome. It's been very, very informative, and I look forward to all of the future broadcasts.
Well, thank you, Kalina. And Gwen, are you still with me?
No, Gwen text. She's gone.
Okay. Well, 8004. Is that Aaron? I get the name.
I'm still here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for hanging with me for the whole show.
No, I've enjoyed
I
the
hope
whole
that you'll
conversation.
come back again because I would love to have
sure.
you talk about crystals and other things that you might have. The term you mentioned the term star seeds and light workers, and that might be kind of new to some of the audience. So I think that'll be a future discussion. So we can definitely talk about that energy because I definitely resonated with you when you said that.
For sure, for sure.
Well, I'm going to wind up the show for the evening, and I just thank everyone for listening, and I'll be back again next week, and stay tuned for the announcements because I'll be posting the new show and who the special guest will be for the conversation next week, and I look forward to our future discussions, and I'm just so thankful and grateful for your support of me this evening. And this has been the Viberarian. This was your first contact, and I thank you, and I look forward to our next conversation. Elevate.